outside of that, there was one positive thing. Corbin Carroll hit a home run last night, his 23rd of the season, passing his total from last year, which everybody knows was a down year for Corbin Carroll. So that got me thinking, how should we view the season that Corbin Carroll has had up until this point? And so that's where we start today's show.
Time for our top story of the day. It's the Daily Special.
Through 98 games played this season for Corbin Carroll, I just mentioned to you, he's got 23 home runs. He's got 56 RBIs, only 14 stolen bases. He's hitting .247 with a .323 on-base percentage, a .546 slugging percentage. Good enough for a 4.3 WAR. That matches the WAR that he had all of last season in 158 games. He's walking less than he did a year ago. He's walking a slightly lesser amount than he did in 2023, the year that he won Rookie of the Year, striking out way more. So how do we view the 2025 season for Corbin Carroll? Because this kind of got lost in the ups and downs of the season. I think it got lost because of the great start that Corbin Carroll had to this year. But there was a lot of pressure on Carroll to get back to the player that he was in 2023 when he won the Rookie of the Year for this team. Because 2024, by any way you want to look at it, was a bad year for Corbin Carroll. We were questioning if he was doing too much to his swing. We were questioning if 2023 was an outlier for Corbin Carroll. Going into this year, there was a question mark around how much you could expect to get from Carroll. Had a better second half than he did first half in 2024, but that second half was nothing like what we saw from him in 2023. Now, again, we took that question, I think, for granted because Carroll got off to such a hot start. That first month plus of the season, he was an MVP candidate with how well he played. But very quickly, our attention turned to the night in and night out of this team blowing leads, losing games that they should have won, and where they stood in the standings. We didn't get that granular with the way Corbin Carroll was playing. So when he hit the home run last night to pass last year's total, it got me down a rabbit hole of looking at the numbers for Corbin Carroll. And while I don't know if you can say that he has returned to the 2023 form, certainly this year has felt better. I know he dealt with that wrist injury, right? That fracture in his wrist that he's technically still dealing with, kind of rushed himself back after 2.5 weeks. There was a great story, azcentral.com, from Nick Picoro that I read this morning that kind of talked about when he first came back, every swing kind of bothered Carroll in some way. And he wasn't hitting the ball as hard because of it. And recently, within the last week or so, he's starting to feel like his swing is getting back to the way that it was before the injury, starting to hit the ball, at least recently, just as hard as he was in the beginning of the season. But I look at a guy that hit for .285 in 2023, had a .362 on-base percentage in 2023, did have 25 home runs, stole 54 bases, walked nearly 9% of the time, struck out less than 20% of the time. And then I see a player this year whose average, comparing it to the Rookie of the Year campaign, went from .285 to .247. An on-base percentage that went from .362 to .323. Now, a slugging percentage that went from .506 to .546. So Corbin Carroll, at least this season, traded a little bit of average, traded a little bit of on-base percentage to hit for more power. Striking out a little bit more, nearly 5% more than he did in 2023. And I know we're starting the program.
I'm a huge nerd.
Getting a little nerdy on everybody, but I think it's important when we look towards the future to ask and answer this question. Is Corbin Carroll back? Now, I have a little bit of a nuanced answer to this. I think Corbin Carroll is back to being somebody who can be in the conversation to win MVP, that can be a bat in the middle of a lineup that can be counted on to hit 20-plus home runs, to drive in 80, 90, 100 runs, can be that chaos creator on the base pass. It's going to give you good defense in right field. I think all of that is what Corbin Carroll is. But he is not the player that he was in 2023. He has made adjustments to his approach. He has made adjustments to his swing that he felt he needed to make after the struggles of 2024. And because of it, he's sacrificing a little bit in the average department. He's maybe swinging at more pitches outside of the zone. And I say maybe. I'm
a huge nerd.
I won't go nerdy on you and tell you, but he is swinging more at pitches outside of the zone than he was the first 2 years of his career. So he's choosing to attack more stuff out of the zone because he's trying to hit the ball harder. He's trying to hit it with a higher launch angle. He's trying to hit for more power. Now, do I think a 247 average is indicative of the new Corbin Carroll? No. He's dealing with that wrist fracture. Do I think Corbin Carroll, the new Corbin Carroll, the 2025 Corbin Carroll, do I think he's more of a 260, 265, maybe a 270 hitter, not the 285 hitter he was in 2023? That does feel a little bit more like where Corbin Carroll is going to settle. He's going to sacrifice some average. He's going to sacrifice some on base. He's going to take less walks because he's looking to do damage. Now, the interesting thing about Corbin Carroll, he's 24 years old. Is he going to make an adjustment again? Is he going to maybe, after this year, getting back to a more base level, is he going to make another adjustment to his swing? Always tweaking. Baseball players are always looking for that edge, always looking for that thing that can make them better. And when you're 24 years old, all of your future is in front of you. You've got another decade plus of Corbin Carroll being one of the best baseball players in the game. So he's going to be making adjustments. Does he make some tweaks that try to get him back to being that high average, high on base, still hitting home runs, but stealing bases, drawing walks? He's striking out nearly 25% of the time, 25% K rate this season. The previous 2 years, it wasn't above 20. Again, sacrificing something. Maybe taking more of those uppercut power swings that we see. For those of you out there that maybe play MLB The Show, you go for the power swing over the contact swing. Corbin Carroll's doing a little bit of that. He's choosing to try to lean into some more power. Not that there's anything wrong with that. And certainly with the subtractions of Josh Naylor and Eugenio Suarez from this lineup, when you start looking at 2026 and you start looking at 2027, they are going to need to replace that power in some way. And while this wasn't a main part of his game a year ago or 2 years ago, it's now starting to feel like Corbin Carroll could be a 35, 40 home run guy. He's on pace to hit 30 home runs this season, and he missed 2.5 weeks and then has been dealing with this wrist injury. He's been playing hurt since he came back to this lineup. And so that's why I don't say that his 247 average is now the new Corbin Carroll. I think it's somewhere in between what he's doing this year and what he did in 2023. But he is so much better than he was last season. He is so much more comfortable up there at the plate. And to me, that's the most encouraging thing is if there's one good takeaway from the mess that this season has been, and again, it's something that I think we've taken for granted, it's that I think Corbin Carroll is back.
I think when you look at his numbers, he's still posting an almost 870 OPS this year, right? He's leaving the yard more. Do I wish the average was a little bit higher? Sure. I think that in a dream scenario, you would have that average close to 280. But if he's going to lean into hitting homers, if he's going to have to be the main or number 2 run producer on this team, he's going to have to leave the yard 25 to 30 times a year. And if he has to lean into that more, that's just the player he's going to have to be.
It's funny you mention his OPS, and I'll play the drop again.
I'm a huge nerd.
On base plus slugging. So getting on base, drawing those walks, getting hits, slugging, those extra base hits, right? Doubles, triples, home runs. Putting the ball into the deepest part of the ballpark. It's a combination of those two metrics. His Rookie of the Year campaign, an 868 OPS. This year, different version of Corbin Carroll, and 869 OPS. He is getting to the same place. He's doing it in a different way. It was, I'm going to take my walks. I'm going to steal 50 bases. I'm going to turn a single into a double instead of just hitting the double. This year, we're hitting more of those doubles. We're hitting more of those home runs. So the 40 points that we've lost in our on-base percentage, we've added it. It's one thing to lose the 40 points in the on-base percentage, but also not have the power. Then we would have a problem. He's selling out for the power and he's not getting it. He's somewhat selling out for the power, but he's delivering. We would easily be talking probably about a 40 home run campaign for Corbin Carroll if he didn't get hurt. Because not only is it the 2.5 weeks that he missed, it's the not being 100% when he got himself back into the lineup right around the All-Star break. He has not been 100% during this last stretch. Still has just surpassed his total from a year ago in home runs with a month and a half left to play. He hit 25 in his rookie season. Well on pace to clear that. It's going to set a career high in home runs. Needs 20 RBIs, 21 RBIs to set a new career high in runs batted in. That's certainly on the table. So he's going to have, in a lot of different statistics, a career year. Hit 30 doubles in 2023. Hit 22 doubles last year. He's got 20 already this season. So it's a little bit of a trade-off that he's doing. And to me, that speaks to the brilliance, the baseball mind that Corbin Carroll is. He didn't get overwhelmed by what happened in 2024. He worked on it in the offseason. He made a swing change. We noticed it at the beginning of the year. We noticed it in spring, and he made a trade-off. Now, does he try to maybe work it back a little bit, keep a little bit of that power, maybe have more of a 520, 530 slug, and then get 20 points back in the on-base column? It's kind of the nerd mathematician in me. How does he get to that 870, 880 OPS? That's the type of player that he is. You just saw a different version of Corbin Carroll this year. And my bet is you'll see a different version of Corbin Carroll next year because he'll always be making those tweaks. He'll always be looking to adjust. But the one good thing from this year is Corbin Carroll got back to being, in a different way, a middle of the lineup, middle of your core bat that you can trust. Whether he's hitting leadoff, he's hitting in the 2 spot, he has been the player that the Diamondbacks have needed him to be from an offensive perspective. A run creator, a run producer, your number 1 or number 2 option in your lineup. Corbin Carroll, after not being that in 2024, got back to being that player this season. So with him hitting his 23rd home run last night, passing last year's total, being well on his way to pass 2023's total, felt like we missed having this conversation throughout the year because we were freaking out about meltdowns and how many games they were back in the standings and the next chunk of time, this many games, how many do they need to win, that we kind of forgot. This year was also about, can Corbin Carroll get back on track? The answer to me is an overwhelming yes. It's just different than maybe the way we expected it to.